Jahmyr Gibbs is a potential top 10 running back. You heard me right. In Dynasty specifically, and that's what this channel is. You're watching the Dynasty version of the Fantasy Football Show, so subscribe if you're new. This is a different channel than the main channel. We're here to talk Dynasty. We're here to talk Jahmyr Gibbs. We're here to talk the ceiling value for said man, the Dynasty value for said man. The phone call line is open, so dial in and let's talk Jahmyr.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
We're talking Jahmyr Gibbs. We're trying to figure out where we're going to value him in Dynasty if we're doing, let's say, a Dynasty startup. If we're trading for him in an existing league that's already had the Dynasty draft, and some of you are the rookie draft. Some of you are scrambling because you missed out on drafting him, and you're like, "What should I do, Smitty? How can I go get this kid? And what is he worth? Is he really going to be an absolute monster like you suggest?" And the answer is, I do believe he has the capability of being a top 10 RB in Fantasy Football 2023. You're on the Dynasty channel. Subscribe if you're new, and dial in if you want to talk Jahmyr Gibbs. This is going to be a Jahmyr Gibbs show. And if you can't ask me a Jahmyr Gibbs question, try and tie him in somehow, some way, because that's what we're talking about here. Peanut Butter and Waivers, first in the building. Thomas, appreciate you being here. Gibbs is a top 10 talent. Yeah, he's 199 pounds. Yeah, he's not 6 foot. I know we're a little concerned about this kid's size a little bit, but we heard the same thing said about the most comparable player to him. We literally heard over and over with Alvin Kamara, his rookie year, and your boy said he's a top 5 Dynasty running back in the making, and he wasn't even guaranteed to be a starter on his squad when drafted to the New Orleans Saints because there was a very crowded backfield at that moment. But I didn't care about size. I do care about size, but everything is case by case. Everything is case by case. Every time. You can't say, oh, Breece Hall got an ACL tear. Look at what Barkley and JK did. Or, hey, you like Breece Hall coming off his ACL, Smitty, but you don't love Javonte. Case by case. Everything's case by case. And Jahmyr Gibbs has the ability in the receiving upside to become the next Alvin Kamara. Whether you believe he's got the same skill set or not, whether you're so mad at Kamara nowadays you can't even remember how good he was, because he was. And if you don't like Kamara, how about I give you another near identical example, but you got to use your creativity to assume the receiving upside, because we're not seeing him catch balls and it's not his fault. ETN. The way this guy runs the football, if you accept that Gibbs is going to be utilized as a pass catcher, keep in mind we expected that out of ETN because ETN was the best receiving back in his draft class and arguably the second or third best receiver if you combine all the running backs and all the wide receivers from ETN's draft class. You could make an argument, a strong case that he was the third or fourth best pass catcher out of everybody if you lumped all the wide receivers and running backs together. So we can't assume that teams are going to utilize these players to their full capacity. Now, ETN still got a lot of time to grab a hold of that. The pass protection, it was his first year last year. Even though he was a sophomore, he didn't play a snap. He got injured before the season started his year prior, his rookie year. So, you look at Kenneth Walker, and we know Kenneth Walker's receiving production is going to go up. Like predicted on the show. We predicted that one, didn't we? Everyone said, oh, he can't catch Smitty. He's not going to catch any footballs. Pete Carroll's not going to check down to him. Walker did pretty good his rookie year catching footballs. Let's just say that. He didn't even get going until later in the year, like we predicted. Once he did, he started catching footballs, and he looked very efficient in the receiving game, and it was easy to see. The writing was on the wall. Everybody, these negative Nancys out there saying, oh, Walker couldn't catch. He was the best prospect of all the skill sets that a receiving back needs, regardless of college usage. He had them all. He had good hands. He's the most amazing running back in open space, Kenneth Walker. Like, the writing was on the wall that as soon as he got in the NFL, it would be like Zeke Elliott. People would be like, oh, people said about Zeke, he can't catch. He's not going to be a good receiving back. And it was absolute garbage take because you could tell Zeke was going to be a PPR monster, at least the people that know what time it is could. Walker, same thing. Gibbs, point being, ETN still got time. I'm full circling back because I somehow got off on a tangent so far off to the right. Many people think Walker still can't catch. It's crazy, bro. Dude was a rookie, and he did pretty well. He's learning pass protection in the NFL and in his offense. This thing doesn't happen always right off the bat in terms of these guys catching in 70, 80, receptions. So Walker's getting there. 55 plus, easily in the cards for a second year. But as for ETN, maybe he does as well. So we can't really judge him. But if you wanted to say, hey, Smitty, I don't know that Gibbs is big enough. My whole point in bringing up ETN wasn't to correlate wide receiver production. It was to say, envision ETN running the football. Because ETN and Gibbs are very much the same build and same style of running back on the ground between the tackles, in open space, in the flat. That is what you need to envision with Gibbs and say, okay, well, ETN's working out fine. ETN was ripping off 5 to 10 yards a pop when he was getting fed. And so I love ETN's size to a degree if he's used properly. But the same things we say about ETN, we don't want him running more than 12 times a game. 14, maybe 14. 12 to 14 carries a game, 4 to 6 receptions a game. That is the perfect formula for ETN to be a 100-yard total monster every game and 10 to 14 touchdowns total, 60 to 70 receptions. That is a top 5 running back. That is the old Austin Eckler type of workload, or the Alvin Kamara in his prime workload. That's what you want out of ETN. That's what you want out of Jahmyr Gibbs. You don't want 20 carries a game. You don't want even 18 carries a game. You want that out of a Charbonnet. You want that out of a Bijan Robinson, but Gibbs is just a different running back. He's a workhorse. Don't confuse workhorse and scat back or a third down back. Don't call Alvin Kamara a third down back. Alvin Kamara is a workhorse. You may define it differently, but I'll define it for you if you're having trouble calling him a workhorse. He's a hybrid workhorse. And so Jahmyr Gibbs is a hybrid workhorse. He is a workhorse. Make no mistake about it. There's no doubt about it. Gibbs is going to be an absolute monster. Expect Gibbs to fall in a good spot. He's going high enough in the draft. His draft capital puts him maybe even in a better landing spot than anybody else, unless Charbonnet goes as the second running back off the board. But I kind of envision, I don't think Dallas will take Gibbs because he's too much like Pollard. But Buffalo, Cincinnati, Philly, those are probably the 3 best locations for Jahmyr Gibbs. Tampa Bay's looking into it. I don't know if Tampa Bay is oblivious to the fact that he's going to go earlier than their second round pick. But maybe they're thinking about it from the first round perspective at 19, but kind of early. But I would say if they think they're getting him in round 2, they're going to be sadly mistaken. So Tampa Bay's definitely looking into it. They're meeting with them. That was the whole point of me going live, is that Gibbs was in the news. And so this right here, this piece of news right here, NFL Network, Ian Rappaport reports the Bucs are hosting Alabama running back Jahmyr Gibbs for a top 30 visit. So that alone makes us feel like they are considering him in the first round, but I don't think they're considering him at 19. Is this a potential, hey, if we move down, we could look at it, because I don't think they're going to take him at 17 and 19. So maybe as they trade down. But yeah, the top 30 visit, hoping he slips, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what their intention is, but I don't think they're taking him at 19. Not to mention, him and Rachaad White are too similar. Like, not that Rachaad White is as good, and you guys know I love Rachaad White. He's not as good as Gibbs in terms of, I think, some of the things that Gibbs brings to the table. But at the same time, he is a little more capable of being the between the tackle guy, or carrying more workload between the tackles. So he might be a better fit for Tampa than Gibbs is, to be honest, because Gibbs is going to need that quarterback a little more than Rachaad White's going to need the quarterback. Rachaad White's a big-time receiving back. He's got a lot of big-time receiving potential, but he's also capable of being between the tackles guy a little more than Gibbs. So Gibbs needs that quarterback. I don't think Baker or Trask are the answers. I hope Tampa Bay isn't his landing spot. I want Gibbs going somewhere where he's got Josh Allen or Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts slinging him the rock in the backfield, in the flat, letting him run 12 times, ripping off a wide open 15-yard scamper, living in the red zone, living near the goal line. That's where Gibbs needs to go, and hopefully he does. Appreciate you all. Glad you joined me for this very short Jahmyr Gibbs 10-minute live stream. We're doing a lot of 8 to 10-minute shows here on the Fantasy Football Show regarding rookies and dynasty players. I'm going to try and keep most of the shows around 8 to 10 minutes. Be very strict about it. Maybe even put a timer on the screen and just disconnect to keep the content churning, to keep the Dynasty channel focused on creating a bunch of content, not one long live stream per day, maybe multiple live streams per day. So appreciate you all. See you all on the main channel. If you haven't subscribed to the main channel, the link's in the description. This is the Dynasty channel. Make sure you're subscribed to both.